The following is a special presentation of Conifer Radio, our continuing series of Conifer Podcast. Conifer Podcast presents the true life stories of our Conifer, Bailey, Evergreen, and U.S. Highway 285 corridor residents, their remarkable contributions to our community, and their encouragement to us all. We continue this week with Ms. Colleen Butler and Jeannie Boymel, President and Vice President, respectively, of Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters, the Conifer Club, from a Conifer Podcast recording from February 18th of 2021. Conifer Radio offers its support and gratitude to Colleen and Jeannie for their continuing contributions to our local high school student achievements across all manner of sports activities in the Conifer area, and for being the inspiration to our younger people of our mountain communities.
Hello, Conifer, Bailey, and our US 285 Corridor and Evergreen communities, and welcome to another feature of Conifer Podcast. We are here live and direct in mobile studio with Colleen Butler and Jeannie Boymel of Conifer High School Lobos Unified Boosters, the Conifer Club. Colleen serves as club board president and joined here later with Jeannie Boymel, who's also a new addition to their board. So welcome, Colleen, and welcome our listeners to Conifer Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, as many of our listeners have likely heard of the Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters, Colleen, let's have you kick things off by introducing the Conifer Club organization and its story.
Hi, so I am the president of Conifer Lobos Unified Booster. We sponsor or support all of the sports at Conifer High School, and that does include band. Totally generated by a group of volunteers, our board is, and we support, like I said, we support all of the sports. Some people think we just support football, but that's not the case. We support all sports, the fields, and everything like that at Conifer High School.
Well, let's continue with a little of your story, Colleen. Tell us a little bit about what prompted you to take on the challenge of leading the Conifer Club organization.
Well, it's actually kind of funny. I was prompted to go to a meeting at Conifer High School by a former board member and had absolutely no intention of coming on the board. I think that's what happens to everybody. One thing led to another, and then I was on the board. I think about 2 years passed or a year passed. Our former president, his time was up, so he hung up his hat. And then we had a meeting at my house, and I kind of got voted in as president. I am, have been president of club for, I think it's going on 2 years now. I have 3 kids. All of them play sports. I believe that's kind of what drew me into this kind of nonprofit at Conifer High School, just because all of my kids are into sports and I want to help them and help the community and help Conifer High School in that area.
Well, isn't it interesting about how leaders are born and made? And you had the event at your house, and next thing you know, you're president of the organization. And 2 years now has flown by. Looking back on it, I think it must be a really rewarding feeling. It
is a very rewarding feeling. And we've seen lots of things happen. Conifer Club has done the lights at Conifer High School. So that was I don't think that was our first project, but probably the one that I know more about. That got started kind of when my oldest, I think, was a freshman. That's when we got the lights. Now we're, of course, raising money for bleachers on the football field, which hopefully everybody has seen the signs everywhere that say bleachers are coming to Conifer, and we're constantly fundraising for that. And that has been kind of 2 years or a year and a half in the works. So that's where we are with that. Yeah.
We are joined by Ms. Jeannie Boymel as a new member of the board of the Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters. And again, Jeannie is most certainly a familiar name to our Conifer community and has newly arrived to Conifer Club as their vice president. So welcome, Jeannie.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Jeannie, tell us a little about your story and the excitement and energy you bring to the Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters.
I just love this community, and it has just been a great place for me to grow and become who I've, arrived at for right now, right? It's a constant journey, so we're always growing and becoming the best version of ourselves, hopefully. And, I guess 21 years ago, I came to Conifer as a brand new PE teacher and coach. I had gotten the PE position at Fitzsimmons Middle School up in Bailey. And I loved it up there. I thought it was such a great area. And I had said, I'd lived in the city. I'd lived in Fort Collins, which I guess at the time was not as much of a city as it is now. But I said, I will not teach in a city. I want to be in the mountains. Lo and behold, got my first teaching job in Bailey, Colorado. We lived in Conifer, though, bought our first house in Kings Valley and commuted to Bailey. And my husband had grown up here. Ironically, he was from here. He was born in Pennsylvania, but he lived in Conifer from the time he was 5 all the way. So he went to West Jeff Elementary, West Jeff Junior, and then he graduated before there was a Conifer High School. So he's an Evergreen grad because there wasn't a Conifer High School yet. So it was really interesting living in the community that he had grown up in. Teaching, in Bailey was different. I coached in Conifer, though, my first 2 years here because there wasn't the coaching positions in Bailey. And I've always lived in Conifer. So I've always had this love of this community and the community that it builds. Teaching, coaching, I was there for 7 years, and both of my children were born while I was there. And I worked on a health and wellness grant towards the end. I had made sure that they would be able to teach health education in Bailey at Fitzsimmons Middle School. And so that was really fun to write a grant, have it accepted, and then fulfill the grant for 3 years. And I did that and had 2 children along that time frame. And then those children grew up to go to West Jeff Elementary and West Jeff Middle School. So they're going to the exact same schools that their dad went to. And that is just crazy to me and fun. And it just really establishes roots of how much I love being here. I in the middle of teaching in Bailey, and then I ended up teaching and coaching at Conifer High School a few years later. In the middle of that, while the kids were little and just at preschool, I was doing wellness coordinating for a couple of other school districts. So I commuted down to Castle Rock, and I also commuted to 27J in Brighton. Both of those commutes, while I loved what I was doing as wellness coordinating and doing that from a district level, I was so missing my Conifer home. And the commuting just was not the place for me. When the PE position at Conifer High School opened up, I was ecstatic to get to come home and move. I had moved to behind Flying J. So my commute to Conifer High School was amazing. It was like maybe 3 minutes. I couldn't manage to get to school on time every day. But I was able to do that and teach and coach at Conifer High School for a couple of years. And then that's how I found out about club. That's where my real roots to the community became solidified, that I was teaching and coaching in the community that I had lived in for now 11 years. That's a little bit about how I got here and came to understand at least what Conifer Club was and what it was to be in the schools in Jefferson County, but up here in the mountains. So that's been a fun journey as well, to see how different Jefferson County is for the schools down the hill versus the schools up here. That was a unique challenge when I was teaching, for sure, and coaching. And I think one of the things that the hardest for me in my journey is I was a track athlete. In fact, that's how I met my husband. We were runners in college together at CSU. To come and teach and coach in a community that didn't have middle school athletics anymore, right? We don't really have that connected to the schools up here. And then also to coach track on an asphalt track that had no lines. How are you supposed to teach people how to do a relay exchange?
How do you stay in your lane?
Right. You stay in your lane. And so, to be honest, that was so eye-opening to me, that we could be in one of the biggest school districts in the state. At the time, it was the biggest, I believe. And we didn't even have a facility to run the one sport that I loved more than anything. It was a little frustrating. And so that's led to some of my passion of making the schools up here and the community up here better for my kids, better than they were for my husband, better than they were for the athletes and the students that I was teaching and coaching up here. That's how I became so passionate about really feeding this community. As I was living in it, I was working in it, and I was watching what our children were doing here. And athletics was such a big part of my life that I think it was eye-opening to be a PE teacher up here and recognize how different it was than what my view of what growing up as an athlete in school was. I guess that's a little bit about who I am, how I came to be here, why I love it.
Well, you're bringing all that to the Conifer Club. That whole story helps future kids, frankly, enjoy the track and field that otherwise might not have been a possibility. So, and it helps them with their development.
Well, yeah, fast forward to now, I guess I am no longer a PE teacher and a coach in the school system, right? I'm still a coach. I'll always be a coach. But now I'm about 6 years ago, I became a financial professional. I'm working with Northwestern Mutual now. So I own my own financial advisory practice, if you will. I say I'm still teaching and coaching. I'm just doing it in a different way. And I'm talking about a subject that is so important because we don't get taught this in schools anymore, right? We don't get taught what it means to have a 401k, or why is it so important to contribute and get the match, or all those things that we should talk about, or even what taxes are, or how they can be, a big deal in retirement, or whatever, And so I still am a teacher and I still am a coach. But when I left and became a financial professional, left as a teacher and coach in a traditional sense, I hooked up with Katie and actually the Conifer Area Council, and we were talking about the elevation celebration race that they were putting on, and that they were hoping to be able to purchase a track eventually, work on bleachers, and all of these things for the outdoor facilities that when I had been teaching and coaching, I was like, this is not good enough for our kids. So when I found out about the elevation celebration, I had been a race director years ago in my past, and I thought, this is a way I could give back. And so that's really how I got involved. Is I started doing some of the race directing with Conifer Area Club and Conifer Area Council, right? And just trying to figure out how I could help the outdoor athletic facilities, especially at Conifer High School, that are truly for our community, especially since we don't have a rec district. And how can I help and be a part of that and use some of my expertise? I was a cross-country coach. I had been a race director before. So that just was a seamless fit. And then I think just most recently, Katie's like, why don't you come on to the Conifer Club board and actually do this in an official capacity now? And so it took me about 5 years to say, all right, I'm ready to be official.
Great transition. What's fun about these podcast interviews is we and the listeners get the chance to learn about special nonprofit organizations that are doing good work for the community. Talk about what it is about the Conifer Club's presence that's been important to Conifer and the surrounding area.
What we hope happens in the community is we need to create more of an awareness about club. And like I said, everyone kind of thinks it was just supports football. And it actually, like I said, it supports all of the sports at Conifer. And for instance, we helped baseball last year get the rest of their money they needed for their batting cages at the baseball field down below. And with our extra bleachers that we have right now on the football field, those will be spread out throughout the school. I think tennis is going to get some, the softball field will get some, the baseball field, and probably the practice field up on top. We're hoping that all of this obviously creates more of a community, since we have so many people that love to come to the football games, not just football games, but soccer games, lacrosse games, boys and girls lacrosse games and soccer games. Grandma and grandpa want to come, and right now there's not really too much of a place for them to sit that's safely. So we're hoping to make that, and it will be made more handicapped accessible and just safely, and just more of a community feeling when we're right there on the field.
Folks, we are here live in mobile studio with Colleen Butler of the Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters, the Conifer Club. And you can learn more from this organization from their website at www.clubchs.org, or shoot them an email to conifer.club@gmail.com. Colleen, let's continue with your future vision of Conifer Club and its service to our mountain community.
Well, as of May 1st, we're going to start construction on the bleachers on the football field. So that's a really great thing. We're past that. And just so you know, our bleachers will sit 1,500 spectators, which is fantastic. They all have backrests and stuff like that. So that's really awesome set of bleachers. The future from that, we're going to do hopefully a new press box up top of the bleachers. So that's kind of our vision from there. You know, I have my last kid at the high school. He's a freshman right now. So by then I might be kind of bowing out of Conifer Club because I won't be at Conifer High School anymore, although I'm always a volunteer endlessly. So.
And good for you. We appreciate that. You know, one thing I had given a plug to one of your fellow board members in that if in the event you folks ever would like to have live broadcasts of either football or baseball games over the radio station, Conifer Radio would love to be a part of that. And that press box.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
You know, a couple of former Lobos standouts with microphones between them. I think would be a fun thing for those who couldn't, on a very snowy night, want to be there, could actually listen in, just like small towns all across the Midwest had for their high school.
Yeah, like Friday Night Lights. That would be awesome.
And you're doing wonderful things for the other sports besides just this field here, in the recycling of the current bleachers, it sounds like. What a nice transition.
Yeah, we've had sports that have, you know, already emailed me, and they're a little bit of not necessarily fighting going on, but with the bleachers, like, what are you doing with the extra bleachers? Because, you know, they're needed throughout because spectators, there's no bleachers at the tennis courts right now, and we have brand new tennis courts as of last year. Hopefully with our practice field up top of the baseball field, that hopefully that field will be used for other things, and we'll put some more bleachers up there. So the extra bleachers, that is.
And you have a special event coming up in the summer each year that's part of Elevation Celebration. That's the walk run. Talk a little bit about if you have plans for that for this summer.
Oh yeah, that's a great fundraiser, and it is called the Elevation Celebration, and it's a 5K walk, run, 10K, and it goes in through Myers Ranch and comes out. I think it starts at the elementary school and then goes all the way up into Myers Ranch if you run the 10K, and then comes on back out. And it is just a great community event, and actually a lot of people really participate. And last year with COVID that happened, it was basically all virtual, which still worked out really well. Everybody, if you signed up, you just did it on your own time, and you had a week or so to submit your race times. But when it is a live event, we just have a party down on whatever the road is that the community center is on there, the main road. We have a party down there, and give awards out to the first, second place, third place finishers, and it's just a great event.
Our listeners can look forward then to seeing the promotional information as it comes forward as we near the summertime. And depending on how the county will allow us to have these kinds of events, I think we encourage you all to continue your virtual walk run at the very least, and hopefully maybe some sort of gathering beyond that if it's possible.
Absolutely.
Well, what have you discovered about the Conifer, Bailey, and US 285 corridor community that's been fun and interesting about living and working up here? Any fun things from the Colleen perch?
Well, I do work full time also. So I have a salon. It's called Mountain Serenity Salon. It's over there off of 285 on Springs Road. I've been doing hair for 35 years. I've been doing hair up here for probably 15 of that. It's a very tight-knit community. I think everybody tries to support each other, look out for each other, and want to build this community within reason, of course, and just make it better. So I love that about this community up here.
So Jeannie, let's talk about something fun that you've discovered up here about the Conifer, Bailey, and US 285 corridor community. What's fun and interesting about living and working up here?
Well, we're close to everything Colorado, right? Like, what I love about Conifer is we're the gateway to the mountains, I think. We have the best hiking, the best running in the mountains I can think of. I still like to dabble in running, although I would definitely say from my running career in the past to post children running It's much more recreational, but we can do that here. Flying J is a really, really great place to run. And I loved when I was coaching at Conifer, we would literally run over to Flying J and do workouts over there because it's such a nice combination of mountain and dirt and just great outdoors. It feels like you're in the outdoors of Colorado. And there's just no place like that. So I love that about Conifer. I like that we're a couple of hours from really big ski resorts, only an hour from Breck, really, down that 285. We don't tell a lot of people that, though. I think
Yeah,
we're supposed to keep that a secret.
It's one of our best kept secrets, isn't it? Yes.
It is. But I love that. I've also taken up dirt biking. My family and I will load up motorcycles and we will head out to Fairplay or towards Buena Vista or Salida or whatever. We'll take our dirt bikes and we all go for long dirt bike family rides together. And there's something about this connecting with nature, but seeing more of it than just like on a run. I can only run so far. Motorcycles will take you a lot further. So I love it, but there's also this challenge of I'm controlling this bike and I'm going to go up this really hard Rocky Mountain pass and I'm going up rocks and watching my boys do it. And we're all like, even just on a simple little ride where we're all together accomplishing goals and seeing the great outdoors for how they are and getting fresh air and enjoying our time in a different capacity than just the hiking and the running and the things that we all do together also. I think it's a best kept secret that we can get to any amazing Colorado outdoor activity within a good 45 minutes to an hour, and we're there playing. So I really love it. I back to Stoughton State Park now. And so just hiking in my yard, if you want to say that, is hiking in Colorado mountains. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah.
State park is your back. You have a state park as your backyard.
I do. And how many people can say that? And how many people can just enjoy, especially over the last year when we've had so much of this staying at home, staying, in your house, not getting exposed to things, right? Being really careful about my family and my parents and my husband's parents and trying to be responsible parents who are not taking their kids and getting them too many exposures so that we could not pass them on to the grandparents, right? Like this weird thing. And we get to walk outside and just enjoy the fresh air, and we're not exposed to anything. And I think that's what this community offers. I think that's what Conifer does its best.
And our nonprofits like Conifer Club wouldn't survive if it wasn't for a vibrant business community. Talk a little bit about the partnership and the support you receive from the business community that's important to Conifer Club.
Oh, absolutely. We would not be able to survive. We have our fundraiser that we always have every year. This last year, we were supposed to have it in April and we postponed it and then did have it in October. So many businesses, so many just people donated to that time-wise, giving auction items for it. And as a matter of fact, JJ Madwell supplied all of the food for it. And it was food in incredible amounts of food. And they always do that for us. Scooters actually provided food if you chose to have your party at home, because of course it was an online. We had a happy hour at the Woodlands, and the Woodlands is the event center just off of 285. We had our happy hour there, like I said, and then we moved to a strictly online auction site. If you chose to do your party at home with a few people, you could order some food through scooters and have your party at home. Conifer Village Liquors, they supplied all of the alcohol for our happy hour there in the Safeway Shopping Center. Of course, the Woodlands, they donated they let us use their event site, that place is beautiful. So we could not do any of this fundraising. Businesses, personal people giving money to support the bleachers. So that's how we've raised all of this money. We have raised probably about 75% of the funds for the bleachers. And we're almost there. Like I said, we're going to put them in May 1st. And now we're just looking for some more money, of course, for the bleachers. You can donate money. You can buy yourself a bleacher seat in honor of students, in honor of alumni, and your name will be on the back of the bleachers forever, So that's a really great thing. All of that money, of course, goes towards the bleachers.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
One last question about you as Colleen. What is it that you would like our mountain communities to know about you that's a fun fact?
Well, let's see. I have, like I said, I've been doing hair for 35 years. I think that's a really long time. And I have a little bit longer to go because my youngest is just in high school. He is a freshman in high school. Got to get through college, like my other two. My other two are in college also. So, and I love doing hair. I love the community. I love all of my clients. I've been doing a lot of them for a really long time, and they support me and they support everything that I do.
Nice. Well, Jeannie, tell our listeners, what's an interesting fact that there is about you that you would like our mountain communities to know about?
Wow. Interesting fact about me. I think the biggest thing is that I just believe in this possibility of balance, that we live in a community that a lot of us commute. A lot of us go down to Denver to take care of our big shopping. I mean, I just went to my Costco trip for the, third time this month.
As we all do,
young
yes.
Boys that are growing up. And so I think it's this idea of you're never actually going to be in a state of balance, but living in this journey of some days being down in town seems to be every weekend to go to that Costco trip. And some days we get to be up here and shop local and hike in the mountains. And we went to Stoughton a couple of weeks ago as a family, and we hiked 6.5 miles as a family. I think there's just a balancing act here. And the greatest gift that we have is that we have the opportunity to enjoy the city lifestyle and the commute and the hustle and bustle. I'm in financial planning. It's a hustle and bustle world, right? It's a commission-based, own your business and go for it. But I also own a personal training business. And I do that on the side because I was a PE teacher. And so seems like the natural thing to do, right? But also because I love it. I love to have people find their goals, figure out what those are, and help coach them through how to meet those goals, how to balance the everyday hustle and bustle, but also am I driving towards the next best version of myself? And so the personal training is something I've kept. I own it's called Training with Altitude. One of my former students actually designed my logo. And I stay connected with some of these former students. They nanny for me. They come up and visit us at Christmas and check in with the kids. I think it's just a balance. People ask me, do you miss teaching? No, I don't, because I still feel like I'm doing it every day. The piece that I might miss is my students, but I have such a good connection with them that I still talk to them. And so I think an interesting fact would be that I am totally content when the scale tips one way or the other, because I really believe that that's the way our life is meant to go. And we have such a great place to get to do that and a community to support it. So, I built my business and left, teaching, left a salary, and albeit a teaching salary, right? I left that world and built a business, and I built it with a community that is just right behind you. And so the ebb and flow of life and the roller coaster that it is so fun. And to now be back at the Conifer Club in this capacity is such a gift to me. I'm so grateful to get to live in this community, to build this community, hopefully make we have a better track now. So now let's get some awesome bleachers, right? So that when I go to sit and watch my boys in their athletic endeavors here in Conifer in a few years, I've got that. And I was a part of that. And it was a part of what built me and drove me to be who I am in this community. And it's also a part of what every single one of us gets to enjoy because we live in this community. So I think an interesting fact is that I'm just really content with the ebb and flow of the way things go, and just being your true authentic self finding the path that really is great for you. And I feel like I've had that here in Conifer, and I feel like I'm constantly growing and changing, and I'm looking forward to what happens next in this new journey since I've started officially being a part of club.
And we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, as we close our discussion today, what encouragements do you have for our mountain community and for the future of Conifer High School and the 285 corridor?
If we as a community can still just continue to support each other in our crazy little world that we have right now, if we could just continue to support each other and have each other's backs, that would be a great thing.
Well spoken. And Colleen, on behalf of Conifer, Bailey, Evergreen, the US 285 corridor, we want to recognize you for your leadership of Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters and for also the contributions you make overall to our community and our high schools, especially on behalf of our area students, their growth, development, and overall well-being and education. So once again, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, they can look on our Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters website. And if you just Google club at Conifer High School or Conifer, spell it out, Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters, you can look at our website. We have a brand new website, which is just fantastic looking. And all of the links are on there. If you want more to look specifically at things, you can look up Bleacher Bucks on there and buy yourself your bleacher seat. Or you can just email conifer.club@gmail.com if you have any questions. If you want to volunteer for our board, we are always taking, volunteers to be on the board or ideas or anything else. That's probably the best way to get a hold of us.
Well, you heard it live and direct here, folks. We're here with Jeannie Boymel, Colleen Butler of Conifer Lobos Unified Boosters. We want to say thank you again for your time this morning. Thank you again on behalf of all the hard work you do for the community.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.